Yes, sir, we promised you a great
Gorgeous George. Here it
Freddie
comes.
Blassie, the maker of champions.
Andre, the Giant. WrestleMania.
Everyone has a price.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is electric.
You're fired. The champ is here.
Paul was so much bigger, he had no place to hide. You can't fade into the background when you're that big.
He's done an awesome job of really dealing with his abnormality, which is basically what it is.
Most of the time, a giant's life expectancy is not past 50, really.
Daily life wasn't made for him. It was made for a 6-foot-tall male.
The price of being that big, think about that. You can't fit into any car. It's burdensome, I think.
The things we take for granted in daily life weren't built for a person of his size.
I mean, the one thing that he really can't do, I shouldn't say that he can't do because he's done it, but he can't fit, is roller coasters.
You have to special order everything, practically.
You're in the airport, everybody looks at him.
If Godzilla rode through on a moped, we'd look at him too.
Paul has always had this draw.
I am the biggest, baddest,
The most dominant athlete in the history of sports entertainment, The Big Show.
He became an attraction, and people loved to see him. They pay to see him.
7 feet, close to 500 pounds, the biggest athlete walking the face of the earth.
He's been able to showcase different sides of his personality.
Something most people don't know about Paul is that if you are in a car with him, he will fart you out.
Just seeing somebody that big, it's something.
The Big Show has to be seen live to be believed.
I don't care if you're in a crowd of 500 people, he's going to be above them, and they're going to come. You know, they'll flock over to him. And I think he really came out of his shell when his handicap became his asset. I think that's when he really found himself and became what he could be. I think the single thing that I'm most proud of is the man he has become.
Paul is my half-brother. My father divorced my mother, remarried his mother, and 13 years later, after me, they had him. We grew up in Newburgh, Maine. It was a family farm. Paul lived there, I think, until he was 5 or 6.
Growing up, Paul's family was almost nomadic, the way they moved around.
They went back and forth, but he spent a good bit of time in Aiken and the surrounding area, but it was on an in and out kind of thing.
The house behind me is the house that Paul and his family lived in when he was a small child, when they first came back to Aiken.
Small town, South Carolina, grew up out in the country, a real laid-back, calm exterior for growing up. There was always in the woods doing something, building forts.
He really liked following Dad around. We had an old tractor on the farm. Paul was 3 and a half, maybe. Dad put him on the tractor for the first time. Paul steering, really proud of himself, driving the tractor all by himself. Wasn't watching where he was going. Ran into the barn. Paul is so scared, he can't move. He's crying. He's got this huge look on his, this huge open mouth, just, what do I do? It was hysterical.
My dad thought that watching cartoons on Saturday morning at 7 was a waste of time. At 7 years old, I'm outside the shop scraping gaskets off in oil pans, working. I mean, that was just I didn't get a chance to be a kid as much, except when I was with my aunts and uncles. When I was with my aunts and uncles, I got to be a kid.
He just really appeared to be your average little 4-year-old. He and David, my other nephew, would constantly be outside, just, you know, kind of being kids and hanging out. Watched TV, played video games, ate a lot of Whoppers.
They figure about 9, I developed a tumor on my pituitary gland. It's referred to as acromegalia. I think the statistic is there's 177 7-foot kids a year that graduate from high school.
I don't think that he really showed signs of acromegaly until he was probably 10 or 11 years old.
At that time, the pediatrician, Dr. Barham, suggested to his parents that they have some tests done to see if he had a problem, but they were, I don't know, in denial or something. They didn't want to do it. There was nothing wrong. He was perfectly healthy.
We were concerned about him growing quickly, but, you know, at what point do you call in the medical experts? I mean, he was a big kid. He had big hands. He was big all over. It wasn't like he was, you know, disproportionate in any way, you know.
They left and went to Maine and were gone for several years, and when they came back, that was when I think Paul was about 12.
I mean, I was 6'2" at 12.
We sat down to eat lunch, and Paul sat down and ate 5 Whoppers in a row and 5 orders of fries.
I mean, that child could put them away. He could just flat polish them down.
And when he stood up, his head hit the chandelier in the center of the dining room table and spun it like a roulette wheel, and all 5 globes hit the wall, just like that.
And the next thing you knew, he was standing there looking really disturbed, and we had just a sea of glass across the table. So, but being around him's, you know, well worth the damage.
He really didn't get into sports until, I want to say, junior high. He played football, played basketball.
They used to play basketball at a recreation center.
Paul spent a lot of time as a teenager playing on these courts.
In one of the pickup games, I broke a backboard.
But he was banned for about 6 months from the indoor gym for breaking the backboard going up the dunk.
They said, you'll have to pay $250 or your privileges will be revoked for 6 months.
Yeah, I'll take the 6 months. Thanks.
By the time he got to high school, if he walked around town, you know, everybody knew who he was.
I really started getting big, like freakishly big at 14. I was like 6'8".
When I reached up to hug him, he just picked me up and sat me on my counter like a doll. You know, I mean, he was just a big kid.
I was just a machine. I ate about 14,000 calories a day. It was nothing for me in high school to eat 4 Big Macs, 2 fish sandwiches, 2 large fries and a large shake, and 20 minutes later go play a basketball game like nothing was wrong.
After all the games, he got a kick out of making me try to do a high five.
I was 7 foot tall. I averaged triple doubles. I was the leading scorer in the state in my school division. I was the athlete of the year in 1989. I was dunking a basketball in 8th grade and had worked hard at basketball camps and whatnot, so pretty much there wasn't anything anybody could do with me at that level.
Paul graduated in 1990. When he walked across the stage, instead of just shaking my hand, he leaned over and picked me up and just gave me a real big bear hug.
I'd wanted to go to Wichita State since probably my junior year of high school.
I was living there at the time, so he had some history there. His acromegaly wasn't discovered until he was, I want to say he was a freshman in college at that point.
I realized, meeting with the team doctor, he says, "You've got giantism." It really hit me right in the stomach hard because I always just thought I was, you know, blessed. I never thought of it as an abnormality. I just thought, you know, hey, I'm gifted with all this. If you look at your brain, and right under the lobe of the brain, there's a pituitary gland. The pituitary gland sits in a little bone pocket. The pituitary gland is your governor for all your body's systems. At figure about 9, I developed a tumor on my pituitary gland. Because I had that tumor, it put pressure on the pituitary gland, which caused it to abnormally secrete too much growth hormone. As a young kid, I didn't know. I just knew that I was stronger than the other kids. I was bigger than the other kids. However, over time, the side effects are terrible. It'll make your heart enlarged. Your organs will continue to grow because you still have all this growth hormone. Now you've reached your max potential. Now you start to overgrow. Your bones get really thick and dense. You develop arthritis real easy. You'll have spinal problems. It'll lead to diabetes. There's a lot of really, really heinous side effects that happen by not getting this fixed. During all the emotional and mental stress of making the decision whether or not to have the surgery done, I did have someone a little older than me, a little wiser than me, that thought long term, and that was my sister. Paulette and I have always been close, and she's always been a pretty good sounding board for doing the right thing and having some common sense. So to her, there wasn't a decision to be made. The decision was, you get the surgery. So I had the surgery done at the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota. They cut your upper lip and go in through your nose and sinus cavity, and they cut the bone out and they laser the tumor off, and then they pack the bone with a little fat till the bone grows back. Now, when I had the tumor removed in college, it totally changed a lot of things about me that were unique to me as far as endurance and eating habits and whatnot. I mean, I was the same height I am now, and I wore 36 jeans. So I blew up to like a 44, 46-inch waist within like 4 months, and it really made a lot of things that I had taken for granted as far as just athletic ability and stuff. It really kicked it in the teeth. And I spent many years adjusting to all that. Anything I ate, instead of being burned up, just made me tired and lethargic. I had to get it fixed so I could have a longer life. That's the thing. You don't really see a lot of old giants walking around. And it was very hard, very emotionally frustrating. And I also had dealt with my father.
Dad became ill with cancer. He had laryngeal cancer.
And my dad passed away while I was going to school out there, and it was just a really vacant, lonely time for me.
When Dad died, you know, that was the person I think that he loved the most, and he was gone. So Paul had, you know, lost his dad, sister's moving out of town. It's not the same anymore.
It was one of those times in your life that there's a monumental change that's coming and you don't know why. But at the time, it's very depressing and very humbling. You figure, okay, what are you going to do with your life?
I wanted him to get into something that was going to make him happy, give him a greater shot at success.
Basketball career, pretty much, it was over. I didn't have the heart, the mind, or the desire to play basketball anymore. So then I decided I would sell cars. My first month selling cars, I think I sold like pretty close to 20 cars, like almost $2,500 in bonuses alone that month just for selling that many cars, plus the commissions that were made on the cars. And I didn't know anything about the car business. My opening line was, if you want, I can pick the car up so you can check the undercarriage. I mean, it was so bad. But somehow I managed to sell cars. December rolls around. There aren't any customers. And I remember owing the company $12 for the month of December. Well, let me get this right. I've been here 6 days a week, and I owe you $12? I might have sold like a car, and my profit margin was less than the amount of food that I ate that month. I get up one morning in this little small house, and I open the fridge, and lo and behold, there's nothing in the fridge. I go through the cabinets.
Watch you make one.
There's nothing in the cabinets. I've got a slice of bread and nothing to put in it. This is bread like I have. Okay. I had some toothpaste. A little bit of toothpaste. And I put that in the bread. It was minty, and it might actually taste like a minty sandwich. And ate it. And you might think, oh, that's disgusting, da da da. Yeah, at the time it accomplished two things. It gave me fresh, minty breath, and it put something in my stomach. It was a very humbling time. I said, I just don't want to go through that heartache. I need to find something that I think I would love to do. So I got to meet Danny Bonaduce, who was a fantastic, great, energetic guy. I have nothing but good things to say about him. Basically, Danny Bonaduce has a charity basketball game between Hulk Hogan, Jimmy Hart, Mr. T. Wants me to be a secret weapon. He knows I'm a basketball player, so he brings me to introduce me to Hulk Hogan. I was just so breathtaking and overwhelmed by it, you know, and Hulk looked at me right away and saw dollar signs.
The very first day that Paul came to Atlanta, I heard he was coming to WCW, and I lived in the same apartment block where he was moving into. So I invited him round to my house, and I opened the door, and there's this just huge man stood there, like nothing I'd ever seen before. And we struck up a friendship from there, and he was being trained at the power plant.
You know, we were kind of in there at the same time, WCW. He was training, and they paid him a lot of money just to go learn how to do this.
I had really good influences down there. I had Jean-Paul Levesque. Him and I became really good buddies. And it was funny, back then, he had such a mind for our business that he was so far ahead of everyone else. And then I always had Terry Taylor around, who, anytime I remotely got arrogant, Terry took a chip right out of me. He was a great trainer, very calm, very instructional.
Terry Taylor and I used to like do a tag team thing where he would basically he would wrestle one of us until he got so tired that he would just physically manhandle us and take us down, and then the other guy would jump on and make him keep going in the process, just go one right after the other with him. And then eventually he'd get so tired we'd beat the tar out of him. At that time, he was healthy and in shape and young, and he could do anything that the 200-pound guys could do.
And he wanted to learn, and he was very respectful. And so people took the time to help him.
I was the youngest guy in the locker room. I was the only young guy in the locker room. There were so many experienced, seasoned guys that had made their mark in the industry, that were very secure with their accomplishments and achievements, and they looked at me as a tool to help draw money. I mean, that was the thing back in the day. It was about putting people in seats and putting on great shows.
First time I saw Paul White, I was in Chicago in the locker room. He walked in, had about a size 60 leather coat on, big full beard, long head full of hair, about 7 feet tall, about 400 pounds, and he made an impression.
Let me introduce you to the new and future WCW World Heavyweight Champion.
The Giant, ladies and gentlemen.
I thought Paul White was interjected into a top spot, probably because he had talent, probably because at that time there was a position for that type of talent. Whoever thought he belonged was right.
What is this? Wait a minute. V545. 7 feet 4.
Somebody go get a can of green beans and distract this guy.
He was really looking forward to this. This was his big break, man. And all I could think of was, I hope he doesn't screw this up somehow.
This man is a monster.
God, who is this guy who's huge? We never saw him before.
You're running out of lives, Hogan.
And he just came on the scene and, beat up Hulk Hogan and capturing the WCW World Heavyweight Championship.
So my first match was against the immortal Hulk Hogan, and I walked away with the World Heavyweight Championship. I won the big title the first match. I should have just quit while I was ahead.
I am the World Heavyweight Champion. I dare somebody to come and take it from me. I dare you.
I started watching it more when he got on there when I was, probably teenage years. It's always kind of cool, telling my friends, in high school, they were all big fans, and he was always really cool about that too. When I did see him, he'd sign autographs for my friends.
Say what you may, do what you will, but nobody's gonna knock this giant off the hill. This is a young man in this sport, and he's already the champion of the world. Where do you go to from this?
Sometimes when you achieve it that fast and that easy, sometimes it's just more of a curse than a blessing.
Question the biggest, most powerful athlete in the sport today.
In any sport today, probably.
This guy has got the power of a freight train. He's taken Andre the Giant's strength and times it by 2, my friend.
The first few years in WCW, he was the most impressive thing you'd ever seen.
Somebody catch me!
There goes Rey Mysterio.
I've never seen a human being pitch like that in my life.
That was all I heard all the time. Be a giant, be a giant, be a giant. It was very hard for me because it was very boring. It was the opposite of athletic. It was frustrating.
After I saw Paul work his way around that ring a few times, I knew he was an athlete.
This guy is a freak of nature.
Anytime you see a guy that size moving at that rate of speed and agility, it's a little bit surprising, but he was very, very, very agile for a guy that size.
Oh my gosh! He's gonna put a hole in the map with this. Oh, he goes airborne! He goes airborne! The biggest man I've ever seen coming off that top rope.
seen him drop kick off the top rope. Some people going crazy about it, thinking it's the best thing they've ever seen, and lots of people thinking it was the worst thing they ever saw because he was too big to be doing that kind of thing. I always liked it when he did those kind of things because it showed off, you know, his tremendous athletic ability.
There he is, fans. We say this where the big boys play.
That's the biggest ball right there, where the big boys play.
Somebody go challenge him.
Everything was being twisted around to be the Hogan show.
I can't have the chance to be the lead dog. Is this what you're telling me?
Here's the deal. I told you, as long as the belt is within the NWO family, everything's cool. As long as the belt's on me. You understand that?
But we all get wrapped up in the wrong things. And yeah, maybe I got wrapped up in the wrong things, but I'm about to unwrap myself from you, Hollywood.
Basically, he wanted Paul White as the Giant to come in, make an impact so he could drop the leg on him and be a hero, and then he didn't care what happened pretty much after that.
They are right now completely unstoppable. The New World Order, their latest victim, the Giant.
He did a good job with it, and he carried it, and for all the people that were sort of giving him some of the wrong advice, there were a lot of people around him that were giving him the right advice, which kept him holding his own in that position. There was an incredible amount of pressure put on him from day one just to live up to the reputation of this giant that, you know, everybody expected him to be, you know, the next Andre, which is too much to ask for any man. Just lived up to everything that everybody could hope for.
The transition from WCW to WWE was like minor leagues to major leagues. Just before Valentine's Day Massacre, I think my contract went into effect February 9th. I think February 9th or 10th, that day I was in New York at a toy fair. And I sat down with WWE personnel who had lined out action figures, merchandise. I mean, there was a whole, it's like 10 people there to show me this is what we're doing for you now that you're coming to the bigger brand. I was blown away by it. So then we get to Valentine's Day Massacre, and they're like, okay, we're gonna hide you into the ring, and then at the right time, you're gonna break through the ring and you're gonna grab Stone Cold. And I'm like, I'm gonna hide where? I'm gonna do what? Because I was used to, like, you know, Billy Bob wrestling in WCW. We didn't do anything crazy like that. They didn't think outside of the box. And I remember sitting on the ring, I was under there for like 2 matches or something like that. And I remember just thinking, wow, I hope I can stand up when I get out of here, because I'm like really stiff. I mean, I'm cramping underneath the ring. It was amazing.
Stone Cold telling McMahon he's going to WrestleMania. Wait a minute. My God, King. My God. King. That's King. That's Paul White. Yes. That's Paul White. King. He's huge. Look at that.
Grabbing Stone Cold and threw him into the cage, and then we were off and running.
The single most awesome force in the World Wrestling Federation today.
7 feet, 500 pounds of Big Nasty.
And the size of this guy, unbelievable.
He is huge. He is the most humongous human being I've ever been close to.
No wonder they call him the Big Show. There's nothing bigger. Look at him.
The World Wrestling Federation, as you know it, will never be the same again.
When I got to WWE, I was instantly intimidated and humbled. They didn't know me from Adam. They just knew I was this big kid from WCW that ruled the roost, so to speak, and I came up there and I was so lacking in fundamentals, lacking in skill, lacking in just pure depth of what it took to be a real WWE superstar. It was the most miserable time of my life. The first couple of years I was in WWE, it was miserable. I don't really think I got a chance to pay dues when I started in WCW. Yeah, I trained for 6 months. I started off with veteran guys that covered up my lack of ability, my lack of experience, protected me for me to protect what we were doing in WCW. You got to WWE, if you couldn't carry your own weight, they'd shoot you up and spit you out. That was from Stone Cold, Undertaker, Rock, all of them all the way down, because each one of those guys had fought and dug and sacrificed to get where they were. And just because I was a big athletic kid on the block that was a nice guy, they weren't handing me anything. I went through a lot of ass chewings from Stone Cold, a lot of ass chewings from Undertaker. Taker's probably my #1 mentor in WWE. I'd say Taker and Arn are the two biggest influences on everything I do. I always go to those two guys all the time. When they put me with Taker, it was pretty much dubbed, you're going under the learning tree. So Taker's job was to help establish me, bring me along, and also teach me along the way. I had a lot of matches where I thought, oh wow, I did great. And then I get to the back and Taker's fingers are all masked up over years of wrestling. That one crooked finger, and he'd do that, you know, that finger, and it was like, oh no, here it comes. It was funny looking back now. Monday, I found out my father has terminal cancer, which he doesn't have a lot of time. I was actually very okay with it. My dad passed away actually in 1992. That's why I quit playing basketball in college and all that. I didn't have a good friend talk some sense into me. You know, it was one of those kind of things, I just gave up and quit. I was very mad at God, I was very mad at my family, I was mad at everyone. I dropped off the face of the earth. And part of the going through what I went through, and then Vince coming to me, and Vince is really good about finding a way to bring out the best emotion that you can deliver, because that's what we're about. We're about entertainment and emotion. And, you know, Vince knows that I was very close to my dad. So when we started talking about this, I was like, sure. You know, this could give me a chance for people to see a different side to me. Yeah, let's do it. I think the thing that's hit me probably the hardest is I have so very little time left just to make him really proud.
I want you to know right now, I don't feel sorry for your dad one single bit. Except for having a loser of a son like you. Oh, no geezer's got one foot in the grave and you gave him nothing to be proud of.
The fire that's inside of me is gonna release when I get my hands on the boss man. And I'm gonna dismember him tonight.
With the deepest regrets and tears that are soaked, I'm sorry to hear your dad finally croaked.
We had to lighten the angle up. And I remember I dove on the casket in the famous graveyard scene. Well, we did that for a laugh, just because, you know, Boss Man was getting death threats and all kinds of things. I mean, it was a serious, heated angle. But it was, you know, art imitates life, life imitates art. I mean, it was something that I could tap into then and deliver.
He was able to kind of relive safely Dad's passing that way, and that made sense to me.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise in honor of the Big Show's father's memory as we toll the bell 10 times.
I don't think I've ever told anyone this, but I remember when Vince rang the bell for the passing of my dad, believe it or not, that was a real good way for me to say goodbye in a positive way. And I mean, I know it was TV and I know it's entertainment, but there's still something very significant about having that bell rang for someone that's passed away. It's a very, very steep honor tradition, and it meant a lot to me that they did that. The first time I won the WWE Championship was out of nowhere. I was basically thrown in a match. Stone Cold was originally supposed to be in it. He got hit by a car. Now I'm in this match.
Who's going to be the third man? It's the Big Show! The Big Show dominating The Rock and Triple H. Living large and in charge is the Big Show. The Big Show with a toe slam. No, I can't believe it. The Big Show. And it is showtime. It's showtime. The Big Show with tears in his eyes. What an emotional week for that big monster. He buried his father on Thursday. Big Show is the World Wrestling Federation champion.
You can't put into words carving your name in history as the WWE champion and what it means to you to, even if once you step on that plateau and you're sitting on that throne and you're the champion. It's what you strive for. It's what you hope and pray for in the back of your mind, but there's no guarantees you're ever going to get it. When you're part of the workforce, when you're part of the train, the engine driving WWE, and then to be in the conductor's seat, you're running the train. That amount of pressure, responsibility, and elation is, I can't compare to anything.
In WCW, the Giant was not able to really show his personality, was really just able to be a giant, a big killer. Then Paul White comes over here to the WWE, and next thing you know, the guy's got a personality. He's funny, he can tell jokes, he can tell a story.
All my life, people have been telling me what a great athlete I am. They also say that I'm a monster that's completely unstoppable. And you know what? They're right. But there is so much more to me than that. I'm a funny guy. I'm a talented guy. I'm entertaining.
We did a lot of experimentation over the years. I mean, I've done the different impersonations with Fat Bastard.
Can't you see, you wee fairy? I'm trying to have a little bit of fun.
Showster.
I've got the largest pythons in the world, brother. So what you gonna do when the showster goes wild on you?
Show EC.
Oh, Razoroo! Oh!
Shonan the Barbarian.
I will crush my enemies beneath my feet. I will show no mercy. But I am Shonan the Barbarian.
And we were trying to find that fine line between being entertaining but also being a threat.
Now, ladies, we all know it's not the motion in the ocean, but the size of the boat that turns you on.
Big Show's a naturally funny guy, and I think that comes across. So for him, it's kind of a natural extension, you know. So to do the show Kishi, which I was out there for, and you know, things like that.
Those funny sides, that's him, man. He's extremely quick-witted.
He's very funny. He's got a great sense of humor.
I thought, okay, I'm the champ. I made it. Woo, everything's good. I quit working hard.
We got the Demon and the Show toe-to-toe. My God, Laser, he took it off his feet.
OVW was a huge kick in the testes. It was a huge wake-up call. And I think that was the education lesson that I needed, that this can be gone tomorrow. And I think I didn't get it till OVW.
I think he had gotten himself into a place where his attitude was just very bad, and for a lot of reasons he was sent down to OVW, and you know, I think it taught him a lot and it made him grow up a lot.
I remember going out for a show in OVW and there was like 6 people there. It was very humbling. I had a brand new Dodge Dually truck and I'm tearing the ring down. Well, what is this tearing the ring down? I had to do a after already achieving a lot of success, I had to do what almost every single guy in this business did before they ever even made it to WWE. So it was a huge, huge culture shock, and that was a making or breaking it point for me. I mean, I can also say I'm very proud of going to OVW. I'm very proud of how I turned out of it.
My name is The Big Show. I am the biggest, baddest man in the universe.
The largest athlete in the world is back and more dominant than ever. Look at The Big Show. I have never seen one individual dominate like this.
I am the biggest, baddest superstar to ever hit this company.
Larger than life itself. Look at the carnage. Everyone in the path of The Big Show has been destroyed. Oh my God! Big Show is a one-man wrecking machine.
You can't stop someone like me. You can't beat Paul White. You woke up a sleeping giant.
One of the memorable moments that sticks out in my head is when Brock Lesnar and I broke the ring. That ring weighs almost like 8,000 or 9,000 pounds, some ridiculous amount of weight because it's steel and wood. You know, when we hit and the ring broke.
Big Show up superplex, 500-pound superplex. Brock Lesnar to the top rope. No, top rope, a 500-pound superplex. God! Holy The ring just imploded. The ring flew up.
It was insane, and it was also scary. The fans were just insane. I mean, that was one of those little moments in history that I don't think you can repeat. That was, I guess that's my mark on the business. I broke a ring. Great. I made the decision to go to a bus and having someone else drive me. We had a TV in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And I was driving from Detroit to Grand Rapids, and I had a suit on and a tie on, and I was 500 pounds, and I had a little bit of a cold, kind of like I think I'm getting now, but this was a little worse then. And I started coughing really bad, and I was driving by myself, and I passed out at the wheel. Just from coughing and the necktie, and I spun the car around 3 times in the highway at 11 o'clock in the morning, tore 3 tires off of it, went up a bank, didn't flip it, and it was between 2 overpasses. I mean, I didn't hit anybody, I didn't hurt anybody, I just tore up a rental car. And I was thinking, you know what, I need to do something different if I want to do this. It scared the hell out of me so bad that I called around, did some investigating, and I got Van for a driver now.
Hello, I'm Van Youngblood, and I'm Big Show's bus driver. Me and him get along fantastic. He's just a great guy. He's like one of my dear friends now.
Normal trips for me is I fly into a major city, Van will pick me up, and I try to fly where I can fly direct instead of doing the little connections because I'm really too big for the small connecting planes sometimes.
I know what it's like for me to travel at 6'4" and how I feel getting off a plane or after a long drive. I can't imagine at 7 feet tall trying to cram those legs. I don't know how he does it.
I've traveled with Big Show, and I traveled a lot of years with Andre the Giant. Even just taking a taxi from the airport to the hotel, it's very uncomfortable for them.
I've taken trips with him on that bus. It's extremely comfortable. It's a man cave on wheels.
Then we'll do a couple hundred miles to the gig, and we'll do Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday gigs, and they're usually 250, 300 miles apart. This is the American Soldier bus, which was originally Toby Keith's bus. It's been decorated in the dark wood and all that stuff, you know. It's a pretty cool little bus, and the fact that Toby Keith is on here, and I know that some of the biggest country legends of all have been on this bus and had a few drinks with Toby. Is pretty cool. Also, we have the bar, the I Love This Bar, which is one of Toby's big hits. The whole surround sound system on here, which is actually, I gotta thank Toby for that because he completely blew out every speaker on this bus. Microwave, sink, that's a nice copper sink. Down a little bit, here's my shower. There's also a door right here. These are air doors, so it's kind of like Star Trek. This is my bathroom on the right. Van gets mad at me. We're only supposed to do number ones on the bus. There's supposed to be no number twos. However, I pay the rent. I will drop number two wherever I want to, much to his complaining and whining.
If he's talking about me, he always does my accent. He gives me a hard time.
Oh, you didn't do it again, did you? Oh, man. What's wrong with you? You know, he gets all upset. Yes, I fit on the bed. Got my nice custom Ed Hardy comforter on here.
Once in a hotel room, he sat down on the end of his bed and it flipped. He's 400 pounds, you know, that's going to happen, but you don't think of stuff like that.
Most of the time, I'm just listening to audiobooks, being a nerd and enjoying the quiet.
Paul, he really is a gentle giant. He's a great guy. He's very intelligent, well-read. He reads books, listens to books on tapes and stuff. You know, people, you think of that big guy, you don't really think of him, being as smart as he is, and he's quite the smart guy.
I think the biggest change for me since getting this bus is understanding how much more this bus will benefit my career and prolonging my career. Number one, I always have good food on the bus, so it's easier to maintain a diet. Number two, I always have a locker room, so I always have my own shower, and my muscles get to stretch out and relax. It takes the pounding away from it. I think folding up in a rental car for 300 miles, which is, 5-6 hours, however long you're in the car, it causes your body to develop, stiffness and soreness that makes it really hard to do the job. This allows me to get flat, get safe, I get a good night's sleep. It's kind of like having a rolling apartment. I really feel comfortable and at home on here. Looks like I'm high-balling. I'm not high-balling. I'm just trying to stay safe and stay alive and do what I love.
I think when Big Show became ECW champion in the revival of that brand, it brought legitimacy.
I'm shocked. You're shocked. How about these ECW faithful in South Philadelphia? We've got near riot conditions here in South Philly. We have a new ECW World Heavyweight Champion.
When ECW was revived, and it needed people to be at the figurehead of it, and a guy like Big Show could go in there, and now all of a sudden they had this world-famous 500-pound, 7-foot main giant that was dominating everybody.
Joey, I'm telling you, I don't know who in the hell is going to be able to defeat the Big Show.
What Show was able to do on ECW is actually become hated, and I think part of the reason is he was such a bully.
No one can beat me. And I mean no one.
That's the element that he was able to bring to it. It's like, okay, well, how do you beat this Colossus in a hardcore match where there's no rules? How's that even possible? So I think that element is what he brought to it. And I just remember how small the championship looked. It looked like, like it can fit around his wrist as a watch.
Television does not do the Big Show justice. You have to see the Big Show in person to realize how massive he is.
That's the great thing about Big Show. When you put him out in the middle of a ring for the WWE Universe to look at, you're looking at 7 feet, 500 pounds of man. Not only that, a guy who's proven himself time and time again to be one of the baddest people ever to step in a ring. That's what him being ECW champion brought to ECW.
This is extreme.
The only time I went to a gym before is if there was a fast food restaurant in the parking lot. I can remember sitting outside in the car eating an ice cream, waiting on somebody else to work out. I don't need to work out, I'm big. I don't have to work out, and I can still bench 500. And it's just because of lack of discipline. And just was really miserable at how I looked. I'm like, God, I've been overweight my whole career. Well, you get older, you gotta get serious about your discipline. And Dog came into my life at a time where I needed a hand to lead me. And it's been a great relationship. I feel like I've known the guy my whole life.
Very humble guy, and he just came to me and said, basically, I'm the athlete, you're the coach, and you tell me where to go, and I'm ready to go there.
We work on diet, we work on training, we work on mental attitude.
Unlimited potential, just ready to be tapped into, and it's a lot of fun for me. No workout is ever the same. We stimulate, we don't annihilate.
I think the first jaw-dropping, eye-opening thing is when Dodd stretches me. I'm not flexible by any means. I'm like stretching a redwood tree. And he says, we're gonna buy you a bike, brother. You need to get on a bike and get some cardio. Because I've got banged up knees and I can't jog, and we've all seen me run. It's not pretty. And a bicycle? I haven't ridden a bicycle since I was 14. I was driving a car at 14, okay? Once I found motorized transportation, out went the bicycle. So we bought a bicycle, and my first ride was, I think, almost 8 miles, 9 miles, something like that, and I was just so exhilarated. My heart was pumping, my lungs were open. I was like, man, I can do this. This is fun. Now, granted, my ass was killing me because I had been on a bicycle seat since I was 14, so it was a little snug. But just like anything in life, the more you do it, the more endurance you build up.
I'm blown away by it. This is a guy that hadn't been on a bike in 24 years, and now I'm barely keeping up on a bike with him, and I'm an expert at a bike. This is a guy that's flexibility is double what it once was, and his strength's already probably doubled, and we're just getting started. And that's the scary part about it. I've never seen someone produce so much horsepower with stamina at the same time.
You know, sometimes I want to walk around here like Jane Fonda. I'm doing so much stuff, but it's all part of the right plan.
Guess who's back? I'm faster, I'm meaner, and I'm ready to be back in the WWE. Is that hurt? Is that hurt? Oh, there's your man over there, huh? You see the man over there, huh? You see him? You want to help him? You want to do something?
Take a great champion like Floyd Mayweather, a monstrous behemoth like The Big Show, put him together. It's got pay-per-view written all over it. But I'm thinking in my mind that if Mayweather doesn't hit me, this angle's dead before it even starts.
They got in the ring, and I think Floyd threw like 6 of the fastest punches I've ever seen, all which directly connected to Big Show's snout.
I thought Mayweather hit me 3 times. I didn't realize he hit me 5 times. That's how fast he was. And he hit me with a left hook that just shattered my nose. I mean, I felt the blood shoot right in the back of my throat. My adrenaline kicked in, and we were off and running.
He was momentarily so mad that if you watch it back, it looked like the running of the bulls in Pamplona. Like, he was like storming out of the ring, running over Floyd's crew. Like this, like 300-pound guy is just getting trampled by 500-pound Big Show and swatted out of the way like flies. He was so mad, and Floyd ran, and I was in the hallway waiting for Floyd, and Floyd ran up the hallway and looked back at his at Leonard Ellerbe, and he just said, "Let's get out of here. He's gonna kill us."
It was very entertaining. There were people that were upset about it. There were people that didn't like Money Mayweather that really, literally wanted me to break him in half. This is going to attract the interest of real sports journalists, real sports outlets and medias, and real sports fans.
You have to ask yourself, what can Floyd Mayweather do to truly slow Big Show down?
Even if he was not hurt but defeated, it would go to the tarnishing of his legacy.
We got great media exposure out of it, and I think Money Mayweather got a chance to see what we do as far as entertaining.
Why don't you take me on one-on-one? The greatest fighter in the world versus the largest athlete in the world.
The whole build up to that match, everything about it gave the feel of a giant fight.
Well, it's a big show.
Introducing first, standing at 7 feet tall, weighing in at 441 pounds. He is the largest athlete in the world, The Big Show!
The crowd reaction to Pop was ridiculous. Ridiculously loud. I got nothing but nice things to say about Money Mayweather. I mean, he's got a great business sense for entertaining.
Whoa, JR, is that money? Is money falling out of the sky? It looks like it to me.
I mean, that was a WrestleMania crowd. There was, almost 70,000 people there. Those are the shows that really, really get your blood pumping. It's that live audience is there. Everything, when I'd chop Mayweather in the chest, or I'd pick him up and hit him with a side slam, or whatever it was that I was doing, stepping on him, I could feel that emotion come through the crowd, and the chairs and the brass knuckles at the end, and there was just such a symphony of reaction and anticipation and exhilaration. It's why I do what I do. I live for those moments.
Oh my God, I cannot believe what we've just seen! I am absolutely astonished that Floyd Mayweather was able to not only win, but to survive.
Floyd did a phenomenal job, and Show did a phenomenal job, and it was a great year, and there was a lot of good stuff on that show and on that card, but I thought they were one of the highlights.
Here's a weird thing about Big Show. I think he has the reverse Undertaker going on. I don't think he's ever won at WrestleMania, but all of his WrestleMania moments are unbelievably historic. Akebono, Floyd Mayweather, Madison Square Garden to a young John Cena for the United States Championship. Big Show has had some unreal WrestleMania moments. I think the Mayweather match is something that'll be talked about till WWE isn't talked about.
Not as good as a Romanée Conti, but it'll do.
If you had the Petrus, I recall berries, mocha, oak, emanating from a rich purple robe. Exquisite.
In 98?
In 96.
I think Big Show brings a lot of the same elements to the acting world that he brings to our world.
I've seen a lot of things on Raw, but this may top them all.
The Big Show, our generation's Andre the Giant. And the great thing about Big Show that I don't think Andre got the chance to do, Big Show gets a lot of chance to give you his personality. When you see him outside of this realm, I think initially brings the same thing he brings into this realm. Wow, there's a giant. And then they'll give him something to say and cross their fingers and hope it does good. And he knocks it out of the park. Not only that, but he's got character, he's got personality. So immediately people are like, wow, it speaks. It's amazing.
You know, people say it's tough being the Big Show. I gotta tell you, has its advantages.
You know, we did a movie together. We did Waterboy together.
Henry Winkler is my friend. Henry Winkler got me a birthday cake. I mean, I did Waterboy, and Henry Winkler just put me right under his wing and walked around. He's such an incredible gentleman.
I think anytime anybody works with him, Hollywood-wise, they're just expecting this big lummox to walk in, and he walks in, and he's smart and funny and gets it, and he's very charming.
How tall are you?
7 foot.
No.
Okay, 84 inches?
Yes, that's right, yeah. You're right, inches, thank you.
He's a huge talent. I mean, literally and figuratively.
Hey, Vince, look what I found. It's that mango dude. Can I keep it, please? Would you quit it, please? I think I got my taste from comedic acting growing up being so big, to be honest with you. I think My willingness to be vulnerable and be funny is from a desire to fit in with other kids. Growing up being freakishly large isn't as cool as you might think it is. I circumvented a lot of trouble as a kid and a lot of emotional pain, I think, through having a sense of humor.
We tried being 6'7", 290 pounds at 13. It's not exactly cuddling material, you know?
Well, Knucklehead for me was a long-term dream and project coming together. Vince and I have always talked about my comedic timing and personality and how to accentuate that in the best way possible and finding the right role.
The big X factor, frankly, in this movie was, would Big Show be able to act well enough to carry this off? And he absolutely knocks it out of the park.
There's not a lot of comedic roles written out there for a 7-foot giant, because casting directors, even writers, don't look at someone my size and go, oh, he's funny. It just doesn't mix. They look at me and go, oh, he's a serial killer, he's a bad guy, he's a biker, he's this. They don't look at me as being funny. And Knucklehead came along, gave us a great project to be funny and to have a chance to show some chops a little bit.
He's got great instincts. I mean, that's the first thing that I've noticed about him that I really, really liked.
He has that combined with a great sense of comic timing and an incredible connection to who he is.
I was really happy he got to do a comedy because he's one of the funniest people you know. He's so good at physical comedy too, and he's not afraid to use his size and use his own brand of humor to get you laughing. It was really, he's just good at it. He seems really natural at it.
Knucklehead's not gone with the wind by any means, but it shows a little bit of the potential, the talent that I have to do other things.
He is so proud to be able to say, you know, I did this movie.
Anybody that gets to meet him for more than a minute and talk to him, you realize you've got a very intelligent man on your hands here who's very charming and very funny and can act and can sell himself to you and sell himself to the public. And that's why he's been successful in the different ventures that he's done. The reason he gets to be on the shows that he's on is because he's such a well-rounded entertainer. And that's what makes him special.
As a wife's person, like this is all me, of course. If I could get him in the movies or keep him in the ring, I would rather him be in the movies because then, you know, it won't be as hard on him physically. But you try to get him out of the ring. It's a big guy.
So who knows where my career is going to go, what it's going to do. I don't want to be hanging around when I'm not effective anymore. 5 years from now, definitely still working in the ring, probably doing more films, and somehow having more time at home. If I can accomplish all those, I'll be good.
He's got so many years left and so many things that he's capable of doing. You're going to remember the most charismatic 7-foot man ever to walk the face of the earth.
I think Knucklehead actually was like therapy for me too, because the character Walter that I played was a very vulnerable, innocent, sweet guy. And I think trying to go into my studies to try to find that guy and that character and that attitude and that outlook was pretty good therapy, because it really reminded me of how great life is. I mean, I meet wonderful people all over the world. Yeah, I meet a few jerks here and there, and I'm sure sometimes I'm a jerk too. You know, I'm just human. The wonder of getting up every day alive and taking that first breath and putting one foot in front of the other, and there's, what am I going to experience today? What am I going to see today? That's the beauty about being alive. Sometimes we can get trapped into our everyday things and forget how unique and special we are that we're alive.